Hello, it's SPOOFER RAVENGERG here. I have a number of items to get through today. I could start with a very dirty pagan joke, but I will wait until the end of the video so that the prim and proper Christian types can close the video and they won't have to listen to the very dirty joke that I'm going to read to you. So, first and foremost, members of my tribe, we have been so incredibly lucky. We have been really, really lucky because, members of my tribe, an asteroid came hurtling towards our planet recently. It only happened the other day, and it came within a whisker, and I'm going to be using a lot of cat analogies and metaphors in this video because the general theme of this video will be cats. It came within a whisker of knocking us all into oblivion, and that made me think that perhaps the globalists, by having the lockdown, they were predicting that this asteroid was going to hit us, and they wanted us all to try and stay at home and feel cozy as the end of our existence was on the horizon. So, maybe I got it wrong about the ping pong and the needlecraft, but tomorrow I'll do another 180 and I'll say that they're trying to kill us all, and my minions, they won't ask any questions because they believe everything I tell them. I could tell them the sky is yellow today, and tomorrow I could tell them the sky is green, and they'll believe it, and they'll forget that I said the other day that it was yellow. So they really, some people would say that it means that the subscribers to my channel have no minds of their own. That's absolutely no. I prefer to call it loyalty. They have loyalty to SPOOFER RAVENGERG as their tribal leader. So it's nothing to do with a lack of intellect from my audience. It's not that my audience is composed of yes men and yes women. No, it's to do with loyalty. They believe everything I tell them out of loyalty to me. So, I won't dilly-dally too long. I'd like to get into... Okay, wait, someone in the live chat is asking if I have heard any more about Jacob Lordson and Green Pill. It's funny you should ask that, actually, because some of my subscribers happen to live in the vicinity of Lordson and also not far from Green Pill, and they've been able to report some of the goings-on, because if you remember correctly, a few weeks ago those two idiots went to the Spire on O'Connell Street and they tried to do a little bit of sorcery. They were trying to put a hex on me when I hadn't done anything wrong on them. So, as I said in a previous video, it backfired on them, and I was interested to know how it was going to work out for Lordson and Green Pill. I really was. But just to get back, if they had been wearing real wizard hats and real wizard capes, and how real wizard hats and real wizard capes, you've got certain pictograms on the design. So, for example, you've got a box with a question mark on it, you've got a bunny rabbit, and you've got a little bit of, they're kind of like twinkly stars. You've got a series of pictograms. Their pictograms were not accurate, which meant that they didn't have real wizard hats and real wizard capes. Now, members of my tribe, if they had been successful, and I don't mean putting a hex on me because that would never have worked, because as I have said and will go on saying, I did not do anything wrong on them. But it's a very serious business, the old sorcery. You don't mess around with sorcery. Now, as a libertarian satanic pagan, I don't believe in getting the police involved, but I would make an exception for these two knuckle-dragging neo-Nazi far-right bastards. I would make an exception for them because they could very easily have, accidentally opened up a portal to another dimension. And we could have had, thousands and thousands, maybe perhaps even millions of giant cockroaches coming across through the portal into Dublin and taking over the city, taking over a series of buildings, perhaps you know, these giant cockroaches with the little hats on their heads, they would have taken over the Irish Parliament. Now, some of you are saying, sure, that wouldn't have made any difference. We already have cockroaches in the Irish Parliament. But I'm afraid, yes, we do. But metaphorically we do, but literally we don't. So, you know, these giant cockroaches from another dimension, coming through the portal that Jacob Lordson and Greenpill would have opened up, had they been wearing the real wizard hats, real wizard capes, you know, it could have been the end of Ireland and perhaps even the world, because you really don't mess around with sorcery, you know, you really don't. And giving these guys, letting these guys mess around at a Freemason monument, you know, it could open up a whole Pandora's box. You might as well be handing a loaded Kalashnikov to a 2-year-old, you know, absolutely ludicrous. So anyway, I have been getting reports at Lordson. Things are not going well for Lordson, and that's what you'd expect. The hex has backfired. Lordson was he was in his shed and he was doing a Caravaggio. As I said in a previous video, you know, he should just be angrily throwing paint at the canvas. That will be his masterpiece. But no, he believes in form. He believes in artistic form, and he's trying to, you know, paint a sort of Caravaggio. So Lordson, he went up to the loft of his shed to get a number of paints and a little bit of oil, and his cat followed him up. Lordson was not aware of this. So when Lordson got down from the loft, he closed the loft door, and then he went and he finished his Caravaggio. He went to bed, he slept, he got up the next morning, he couldn't find his cat anywhere. Now, he got into a right tizzy. He was phoning all over the place looking for his precious cat, couldn't find the cat. So I don't know what happened then. Lordson went on a bit of a rampage around Dublin, around the suburbs of Dublin, and he ended up going in, marching in to a Chinese takeaway and restaurant. Now, he accused the Chinese of having taken his cat. They said, and I quote, "Me not have your cat," unquote. And Lordson said, "You do have my cat, and I'm going to find my cat." And Lordson proceeded to walk into the kitchen. Now, he then opened the door to a massive freezer. He believed that the Chinese had taken his cat. He believed they had possibly skinned the cat and thrown the body into the freezer, and that they were going to cook it in a big Chinese stew. This is what he thought in his mind, completely paranoid. He opened up the freezer, and there were only 3 frozen dogs in the freezer, no cats. So Lordson had made a really, really big mistake, because he phoned the police when he was entering the Chinese. He phoned the police. They found Lordson in the freezer, but there was no dead cat in there. So the police then took Lordson, they arrested him, and he has now been fined. He will have to do community service. He will have to go into every single Chinese takeaway restaurant on Parnell Street in Dublin. He'll have to go in, bow his head, and say the following: "Me so sorry, me love your culture, me love you long time." That's what he'll have to say to every single Chinese takeaway in Parnell Street, for starters. And then he'll have to go around the suburbs to every single Chinese. It's cultural sensitivity. That's what it is. And that is the price Lordson will have to pay for accusing the Chinese of having stolen his cat in order to cook the cat, when in reality they had only stolen 3 dogs, which they were going to cook and sell as pork in their pork curry, which was number 24 on the menu. The wheels are coming off for Lordson, and I'm very happy to hear it. Now, the reason Greenpill has had a series of bad luck as well, but he has not been arrested thus far, and I believe that's because Lordson was the first one to go walking around the spire and to start off the sorcery, and Greenpill was second. So Greenpill, as far as I know, in Greenpill, he was watching Fair City, which is an Irish TV drama. It's generally geared towards anyone with an IQ of less than 80. He was watching his favourite show, Fair City, and then he went to bed. And when he got up the next morning, he went downstairs. He couldn't find his cigarettes. He was opening drawers in the kitchen looking for his cigarettes. He was going out of his mind for a bit of tobacco. So he remembered that he had left the cigarettes in the sitting room. Now, when he walked into the sitting room, he turned on the light, but the light bulb blew, which meant that Greenpill had to walk across the sitting room in the dark, because it was still dark outside. And as he was walking over to get his cigarettes, the packet of cigarettes, off the coffee table, he stubbed his toe off said coffee table, which caused a searing pain to rise up his leg and make him shout and yell. Anyway, when the pain had somewhat subsided, he opened up his packet of cigarettes. There was only one cigarette left, and Greenpill said, "Oh, thank God I have one cigarette left. I thought I might have 0. So he took out the cigarette, but unbeknownst to Greenpill, the cigarette was a dud. It wouldn't light, which infuriated the young Dublin citizen journalist, and he decided, well, I might as well walk down to the newsagents and get myself another packet of cigarettes. So as soon as Greenpill left his house, it started raining, and I mean lashing rain. He got absolutely drenched walking down to the newsagents. He didn't have an umbrella, so this is the bad luck starting to increase for young Greenpill. He went to the newsagents. There was a massive queue. He had to queue for half an hour. There were about 12 people in front of him, one of whom was an old biddy at the counter who was just reminiscing with the newsagent himself about the dances that they used to have in the olden days. So he was getting angrier and angrier, more and more frustrated. He needed his nicotine. It was, a Sunday morning. He was drenched to the bone, waiting in this queue. Eventually he got to the counter, and unfortunately the newsagent told him that he had just sold his last packet of cigarettes. So there was nothing else for Greenpill really to do. He had to go back home. He went into the sitting room. He left the blinds down. He sat in the dark for the rest of the day, and he was brooding. And even his cats, he has 3 tabby cats, they were wise enough to give him a wide berth. They stayed out of the sitting room. They stayed out of the sitting room all day, all Sunday, because they knew. Animals know when people are in bad moods, and they know to avoid them. So he sat on his own. He was brooding, and that is the start of the bad luck, the series of bad luck that Greenpill will get. For Lordson, he's already got a lot of bad luck: getting arrested, paying a fine, having to go into all the Chinese takeaways and bow his head and say "me love you long time," etc. But I believe Lordson will get even more bad luck, and Greenpill is really only on the start of the bad luck. They hexed not me, they hexed themselves. So I should also something else I should add. Jacob Lordson, he decided, and this was the day before he climbed up into his loft and accidentally locked his cat in the loft, and then went accusing the Chinese of having robbed and cooked his cat. The day before that, I was going to do a live stream with a wonderful Irish YouTuber who wears a beanie. He's a kind of hipster, the very common hipster Irish YouTuber who, dips a toe in nationalism and dips a toe in communism and sits on the fence and says, I'm a nice person because I'm sitting on the fence. Like myself, like-minded individual. I decided, yes, it would be great to talk to this guy. We could really talk about very serious issues, 2 fence sitters. And, this guy, this YouTuber, he likes using the word cowabunga a lot, far out. He likes saying far out. He also likes saying radical. And what else does he like saying? He likes saying tropes, and he likes saying, what else? His avatar is a hipster figure with an American flag. Now, even though this guy was born and raised in Ireland, for some reason he uses the American flag, the Stars and Stripes. Question marks over that. What sort of individual would not use their own flag for their YouTube channel and would instead use the flag of a foreign nation? Really, a lot of questions people might ask, but I think it's perfectly fine. But according to myself, changing flags, using a flag of convenience for commercial purposes is absolutely fine. Anyway, a few minutes before the live stream, we were looking, myself and this hipster Irish YouTuber, we were looking at the live chat, and would you believe it, Jacob Lordson was in there, and he was typing all sorts of stuff. It was as if he was trying to get the stream taken down. He was talking about nuclear bombs. He was talking about all sorts of stuff that would get your channel taken down by YouTube. And I said to the Irish hipster YouTuber, I said, you want to keep your eye on this Lordson fella. I said, he's trouble. And the hipster said, cowabunga, far out, coolio. He said, maybe he'll be okay, he said. I said, well, I'm telling you, I have an experience of a number of months with this guy trolling my comment sections and my live chat. He has been banned loads of times, and he will try to take down your channel. Now, the hipster Irish YouTuber, he ignored what I said. He said, no, he said everyone's welcome here. Now, as soon as we came on live, Lordson started throwing out all sorts of gobbledygook in the live chat, and he very quickly, the moderator, one of the moderators, put him on timeout. Now, Lordson did not like being put on timeout. He got very, very angry, very irate, and he actually then recorded a video of himself. It was a response video for having been timed out on the Irish hipster YouTuber's video. So Lordson made a video complaining about freedom of speech. Now, I very quickly told me minions to downvote Lordson's video, which they did, and when Lordson had got about 60 downvotes, he took down the video because he knew that the people did not believe what he was saying. So he thought he was the cat that had got the cream. He thought he could take down the live stream when I was talking to the Irish hipster YouTuber, and he ended up being kicked out of the live chat of that video. The hatred Lordson has for me is beginning to consume him, and it's beginning to make him come apart at the seams. So anyway, guys, it's time for me to go to me dirty joke. For you Christians, you can turn off this video now, because this joke is going to be really, really dirty. So, you know, you really want to turn off the video at this stage. So here goes. I have to reach across for me phone. So someone sent me this joke. I thought it was worth reading. So here we go, members of Detroit. Here we go. There was once a red Indian who had only one testicle, and whose given name was One Stone. He hated that name and asked everyone not to call him One Stone. After years and years of torment, One Stone finally cracked and said, "If anyone calls me One Stone again, I will kill them." Anyway, the word got around and nobody called him that anymore. Then one day a young woman named Bluebird forgot and said, "Good morning, One Stone." Well, he jumped up, grabbed her and took her deep into the forest, where he made love to her all day and all night. He made love to her all the next day, until Bluebird died from exhaustion. The word got around that One Stone meant what he promised he would do. So as you can see, members of me, Troy, One Stone, you know, you don't call him One Stone, because if you call him that, he'll go mental, right? And if you're a woman, you definitely don't want to call him One Stone. Okay, we'll continue with the joke. Years went by, and no one dared call him by his given name, until a woman named Yellowbird returned to the village after being away. Yellowbird, who was Bluebird's cousin, was overjoyed when she saw One Stone. She hugged him and said, "Good to see you, One Stone." One Stone grabbed her, took her deep into the forest, made love to her all day, made love to her all night, made love to her all the next day, made love to her all the next night, but Yellowbird wouldn't die. She wouldn't die, members of me tribe. She wouldn't die. Why, members of me tribe, do you think Yellowbird couldn't die? Why? Why? Ah, come on, take a guess. Why would Yellowbird not die? Come on, think about it. Think about it. Sure, everyone knows the answer. Do you not know the answer, members of me tribe? The answer is, you can't kill two birds with one stone. Anyway, that's the end of the jokes. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, because no doubt there will be loads of downvotes from a certain Luciferian pagan Satanist, who is not me, by the way, someone else, and his minions will downvote this video. So I want you all to like the video, make it get to, I don't know, 40 likes will be great, and share it on Twitter and Instagram and all the platforms. Share it so people can have, you know, a bit of a laugh, and at the same time learn about very dangerous asteroids and why you shouldn't hex people who have not done anything wrong on you. Okay. Love yous all. I love yous all. I love yous all. I love yous all. I do. I love yous all. Blow kisses in me rear view mirror. Love yous all. Love yous all. You know, have that song in your heart, guys. Have that song in your heart. Yeah. You know, make that song ripple across the ether. Make it ripple across the ether. Let the only virus be the contagion of love. Let love prosper over the ping pong and the needlecraft. I love yous all, I really do. Do me names to pose here. Hands together, bow me head. Love yous all. And before I finish recording, yeah, no, that's it. Love yous all. And feck them if they can't take a Jesus or a cunt fucking joke.